Hello, everybody, and welcome to another cup of self-empowerment to trust, heal, and be thyself. I am absolutely honored to welcome my beautiful friend here, Justine, to join us today. And for those of you who don't know Justine, Justine is a storyteller, an author, a mentor, and a healer. She provides a process and support for others to get out of their heads and into their hearts so they can release false narratives, shatter limiting beliefs, connect with their most authentic self, and ultimately evolve from a living in fear to living from a place of love and compassion. And Justine lives in East Greenwich in Rhode Island in the US with her husband, Tim, and her dog, Lulu. Welcome, Justine. Thank you for taking the time to join us for a cuppa today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. It's my honor.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Okay, so let's get started because I'm sure everyone's really interested to know how you started trusting thyself when you started your own personal journey.
Oh, that is like such a big question. And I feel like it's challenging to like pinpoint just one thing. This is the dog Lulu, by the way. She might make an appearance. Yeah, I feel like that's such an interesting question. So my kind of own personal healing journey started when someone who I trusted very deeply said something that, is one of those moments that like is stuck in my mind forever. Someone who I trusted very deeply said, "You have really big emotional walls up. It's hard to connect. You don't really let people in." And when they said that, it just like hit me in a way. And I was like, oh, I have emotional walls up. Like I had no idea that I was emotionally closed off. And of course, first and foremost, I was emotionally closed off for myself, which is part of why I had that like wall to even recognizing that. And when this person said that to me, I was like, it's hard to connect with me. Like that doesn't sound like what I want for myself. I feel like I need to change this. And so that was kind of the catalyst of what I refer to in a lot of what I talk about in my book as my healing journey. And so that started with just like really getting curious about like, what is this wall? How are my behaviors keeping me from connecting with me and keeping me from connecting with others? Where do these behaviors come from? And really starting to like dig into kind of past experiences and stories I was telling myself and beliefs. And just through the process of beginning to ask those questions, I think that was like little moments of building trust in myself.
Yeah,
like
it sounds like it, definitely. Yeah, because it's opening a pot of what you wasn't expecting, like a can of worms. You're like, how, because when someone says something to us, but we're not totally expecting them to say, and then it doesn't sit well with us, then, not because it's, awful, but it's just like, hey, I didn't realize I was showing up in this way. And for those of us who have that honor to know you, we know that you're very open, very heart open, very loving. So, and that's kind of like probably your perception of yourself as well. So that was probably why this came up. It's like, how can people not connect with me? I give so much. I love so many people, I just want everyone to be happy. So yeah, it always starts with those little moments of like when we start to trust what we're feeling, so we can dig a little bit deeper and excavate those, nuggets of wisdom and knowledge, which we had kind of stuffed out because.
Oh yes, I had a whole lot stuffed down. But
I think we all do. I think we all do. So obviously you started trusting yourself. And how did this lead on to you actually starting to heal thyself?
So I think like they kind of came hand in hand. I don't know if I like knew this at the time when I started kind of this self-exploration that I was actually going to be deeply healing myself, but that was very much what ended up happening and what is still happening.
Yeah.
But I think my goal was to get more in touch with myself and to understand more of like where these behaviors that I had identified that weren't really serving me and that I didn't want, like where they came from. And that ended up being a very healing process. And it was through that healing process that I learned to trust. So I feel like my goal was to change my behavior, and that resulted in healing. And just that act of showing up for myself, of being curious, digging into kind of these beliefs and these behaviors and where they came from, and just like showing up for myself. I like to say showing up for myself with compassion, but there was a lot of judgment at first. And it was like learning to let go of that judgment and replace it with compassion was a whole, and continues to be a huge part of my healing journey. And so I think that it was almost like the healing and the trust came hand in hand. Like I was on a healing journey, and by the fact that I was showing up for myself to explore, to get curious, ultimately to heal, I was building trust in myself.
Yeah, which is really, really interesting, which I really want to share now with everybody, is because you actually documented all of this.
Yes.
And released your first book. So this, I would say your book is like the Bible of your healing journey, and of you actually taking that initiation to put yourself out there, to trust yourself enough to share your story with the world, literally. So, you know, it's a best-selling book on Amazon, and, you know, it's purely you and your experiences. And, you know, I would say this is probably one of the steps what you took to actually being thyself, correct? Would you like to mention anything about, you know, this whole process of your, you know, this wonderful book that you've created?
Yes, that was a healing process in and of itself, for sure. And the decision to actually publish it was a huge decision. There was so much fear around it. There were so many emotions around that actual decision. So when I started writing what is now my book, I was more so just writing it for myself. I had done a lot of inner work, a lot of emotional work, and I was a completely different person than when I started this journey. And now I'm a completely different person now. It's, you know, the constant evolution.
Oh yeah, we're always evolving, always.
Yeah. At this point, I was like, I'm a completely different person. Like, I know I've done a lot of healing and inner work, but like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what should I do? So I started to write it down. I'm a very kind of like my brain likes structure. It likes processes. It likes to like make order out of chaos. So I started to write it down. Yeah. And like literally, like I was like making a process out of things. Like in my book, there's a process of like how to feel your feelings, and like making something tangible out of something that's like can be very nebulous to people who might be emotionally closed off or have certain emotions. And my book is a workbook, so there's tons of like prompts that brings people through their own journey and their experiences. So I started to write it just for me, just be like, what did I do? And then I reached a certain part in the writing process. I shared a lot of my story there too, so it was very like cathartic and therapeutic. And I reached a certain point where I was like, oh crap. I think I have to share this. I think like other people can benefit from this. I think I am supposed to publish this. And I remember like it was a whole probably like weekend that I just sat with that, and I was like, oh crap. Like I liked it. Like it's one of those things that like,
yeah, I'm gonna publish my book, and you're like thinking, shit, okay, am I ready to do this? So by you actually going forward and taking that step, you were stepping into standing tall as your sovereign, authentic being thyself. So that was like, you know, that was a massive up leveling for yourself in your own self-trust, in your healing journey, because you're sharing it. And, you know, I would totally recommend anyone to read Justine's book because it is awesome. And the prompts, you know, are very, very great. They're just, they do get you. They do get you. They make you sit with yourself quite a minute, and you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure if I want to sit with this quite now.
Yeah, it does that.
It does that, but it's all for the good. It's all for the good. So tell us a little bit about your book. What's the name of the book? I like you to say that because it's your book.
Yeah, so it's Homecoming, a guide to get out of your head and into your heart. And as I mentioned, it's a workbook. So it brings you through kind of different themes of tools that I learned throughout my healing journey. And I share my experience in what these themes look like for me, how I learned different tools. And then it offers, as I mentioned, those self-guided prompts at the end for the reader to explore those themes on their own. And so another reason why I decided to actually publish this book and why I started sharing more widely on social media and hosting events and things like that about my journey and the tools that I have learned is because I think that there's immense power in storytelling and in sharing your experience. I firmly believe that we're able to see ourselves more clearly through the lens of other people's experiences. And I know for my healing journey, other people sharing their experiences, their feelings, what they were going through really illuminated within me certain things. and really normalize certain things within me as well. To have somebody else talking really openly about shame, when shame tends to be something that like we're like, nope, don't want to see it, close the door, pretend it's not there.
Brush that one under the carpet. I don't want to see that because I don't want to deal with it, because I'm embarrassed by it, and I don't want that part of me to be seen by anyone else. So this is really great, because it really leads into the question what I was about to say. What would be your advice, for people to like start mastering thyself? And by you saying like sharing your story, and that we're all storytellers, and you never know how your story is going to impact somebody else, or how it's going to like motivate them, inspire them, help them, even reduce that feeling of feeling alone or something like that, because sometimes when things are happening, we don't always want to share that verbally with someone. So if you can connect with like a book or a workbook or something like that, I think this is a very safe way for people to start tapping in and going deeper within themselves as well.
Absolutely. Even just exploring your own story and not necessarily sharing it with somebody else, but exploring it for yourself is so deeply powerful. And that's there's definitely opportunity to do that in the book, to kind of explore yourself, explore your story. And there's such power in, I think, being seen by other people, whether it's one other person or an intimate group, no matter what that looks like. I share a couple of stories in the book around this, but some of my most powerful healing moments were when I shared my shit, so to speak, like all the stuff that I was really deeply shameful about, the experiences that I held a lot of shame around, when I was able to share those openly with other people and receive back not the kind of rejection or disgust that I was expecting, but to receive like compassion and love and gratitude back. That really just like invalidated all of the stories I was telling myself about those experiences. And it was so powerful.
It helped you move you back into your heart, of course. And what's really wonderful is like, now your book is basically, you've integrated it into your life, into your healing work, and it's just like it is you, which is just being integrated in different ways. So it's really fantastic and amazing to see how it's all like unfolding for you. So how can you personally, or how would you like to encourage others to embark on that journey of trusting thyself, to start healing thyself, so they can actually start showing up and being who they want to be? How can you personally help people? What tips would you like to offer?
So first and foremost, I would say give yourself space to be and to connect with yourself. So that can look different for everybody. A tool that, obviously my book is a workbook, it encourages you to do like written exercises, because writing has been one of the hugest healing tools for me. Literally just being able to write my own story. And by that, I mean like write through past experiences, how those actually impacted me at the time, how I felt at the time. That helped me to get more clarity into moments in the past that I might have shut away, or more clarity into like how things actually felt. I think a lot of times when we are in an experience where we're coping, we're compartmentalizing, we're trying to move forward, and we're not always fully like able to recognize the breadth of emotions or experience in that. So just being able to like actually write about past experiences and see them for what they truly are, and how you might still be carrying parts of that today, is a huge tool. It has been immensely powerful in my own journey. But I would say like writing is a huge tool, but just give yourself the space to connect with yourself. Even if you just ask yourself once a day, like, what do you need? How can I show up for you today? How can I provide for you today? If you just ask that question to yourself once a day and then actually listen to the answer, I promise you, you will change. Your world will change. How you orient yourself to yourself, your relationship to yourself will change in a positive way.
You have a very interesting technique how you relate to yourself, don't you? You talk to your inner, you talk to the younger version, the younger Justine, yeah?
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's a trick that I kind of intuitively picked up through my healing journey, because part of my healing journey was also recognizing that like I was really not very nice to myself. Like the thoughts that were in my head, they were really mean, judgmental. I would ridicule myself. I got stuck in in my book what I referred to as the fear spiral of doom, where it's like,
yeah.
Something silly happens and all of a sudden you're like spiraling and it's like the worst thing in the world and
I
you're
think
stuck in that
every
place.
single one of us has been there many a time. And, that talk that we sometimes have, or like previously had, or even it comes up every now and again, that talk, that how we talk to yourself, well, I love how you explain when you're advertising and doing your stuff for your inner child healing sessions, that you say, would you talk to that younger version of you? Would you talk to that little girl? Would you talk to that little boy like that? And I think that's just a beautiful way of like spinning it around and really seeing it for what it is and having that compassion for yourself again. So that's a beautiful technique, I feel.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we wouldn't talk to that version of ourselves like that at all. And so that was kind of my hack, is I still have pictures of of me as a child all over my office. And like when I would catch myself in those judgments, in those criticisms, in those like fear spirals, I would look at the picture, and that's what I asked myself: would you talk to her like that? Of course the answer is no. I'm like, okay, like I'm that person. So it just invited in more kindness and more compassion into my own relationship until it like became more natural.
No, I really thought that was important to share that, because I'm sure so many people watching this can actually, use that as a really simple tool, but a very, very deep and effective healing for themselves as well. So, and it's accessible as well. We've all got pictures of us in younger days floating around, or, if we go to our parents or grandparents, I'm sure they get the photo albums out and we can have a look. And, it is true. It's nice to reflect. And, as that question, what you just said, would I talk to her like that? Of course you wouldn't. So why are you talking to yourself like that? Sometimes we need that physical reminder. So thank you for sharing that with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? How can people get in touch with you? What have you got going on at the moment? With if people would be interested in reaching out to you, what's going on in your world right now?
So how people can find me at my website is justineharrington.co. I am also on Instagram. I believe I'm jharrington106. I should probably know that. Pretty sure that's me. And then my kind of flagship program, actually, I'm like, I just love this program so much. It's called Into Your Heart Writing. And it's exactly what I was just discussing as far as using writing as a tool for healing through storytelling. So it's a 4-month program where I created a process, and that's what I do. And I guide and coach the participants of that program to actually create a writing routine where they're exploring their past through writing. And as I mentioned, this is one of the most profound healing tools, which it seems like so silly because it's like writing. It seems so simple, but it has been one of the most profound healing tools for me, which is why I was called to then offer this to other people as well. And so it's a group container as well. So you get to connect with other people who are going through this process. You receive one-on-one coaching. I am also a mentor and a healer as well. So one-on-one coaching and support with me. And it's really just an opportunity to, in a really safe and loving container, explore yourself, connect with yourself, and really just find what is true to you. I think that's the big piece of using writing for self-exploration and writing about your past, is you get to find the truth of your past experiences and what's true to you. And it doesn't matter what's true to anybody else, it matters what's true to you. And this is a tool to find that. And what I have found is when you really step into your truth, for me, that's when I stepped into my power. So
true. But that's very true. That is completely, utterly true. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And what I mean by that is just like my authenticity, my belief in myself, my understanding of myself. There's such immense power in that. And writing through my past experiences helped me to get to that place. So I offer that to other people. The price for that is actually increasing on May 1st. So if that does resonate with anybody, definitely get in touch. I would love to chat about it. That's kind of the big thing I have going on. I also offer other coaching packages as well that are available on my website. But the writing program is really just, that's where my heart is. I just adore that program, and it's just so immensely healing.
Well, it just goes with your whole, get out of your head and into your heart, through the power of your words. And, journaling, I find sometimes is difficult for some people as well. You know, some people like to, and I admit I am sometimes one who likes to shy away from writing. I don't know why, what it is. And sometimes, but when I start doing it, it does. I agree. It really, really helps. I think sometimes it's just like seeing it in black and white. You know, sometimes we have maybe a little bit of respect for it. I won't say fear, but maybe we have a bit of respect seeing it in black and white. And it's a great opportunity, as you say, you know, to actually tell your story, actually to connect with yourself. And really, you know, you do a lot of work where you move through the emotions with it. So, and that also goes hand in hand with your Reiki practice as well. So that's just, it's just lovely that you've got that combination.
Yeah, thank you.
My
yeah, and
pleasure.
with the journaling piece too, it's super interesting because oh man, I have way too many journals. It's like a problem, but I actually prefer typing. Like when I'm like doing this work, I
have to
my brain is just moving faster than my hand can.
Yeah, I can't read my hand. It's like someone's like slided across the page if I'm trying to write.
So yeah, I type everything on the computer when it comes to that. I have participants in the program who they are literally writing out their whole story. So like more power to them. But I think when people think of journaling, like journaling, like I believe deeply in the power of journaling and the type of work that like we're doing in this program. Like I gotta type it out, and then some people are like I gotta write it out. So I like to think of this as like enhanced journaling.
Okay, enhanced journaling. I like that. I'm going to say I'm an enhanced journaler now because thank you. I have a new way of speaking now. I'm an enhanced journaler because I will admit, and I'm sure I'm not alone on this, that I tend to shy away from having a journal.
Yeah.
I start off really well, and then like suddenly it's all coming out so fast, and I'm just looking at it like a day or so later, and I'm like, what have I written? It looks like someone's literally squashed spiders all over my page. So the typing is, you know, that's what I've moved into. When I've got stuff coming through, I'm typing it out. So that's good for me to have that, you know, that's fine. I can still be, even if I type it, that's cool.
Oh yeah, because I think that that's a block for some people. They're like, oh, I don't like this, so like I'm not gonna do it, or I can't do it, or whatever stories we're telling ourselves. And it's like, oh no, we got other options here.
And we've just put the options on the table now and and invited them into your world. So that's great. So if anyone was looking for the permission slip, I don't know if I'm Jan, if I'm allowed to type it, you so are. Go for it.
Permission fully granted.
Oh yes, totally. Oh, well, thank you so much, Justine. Thank you for taking the time and speaking with us today and sharing your cup of empowerment with us today. It's been absolutely lovely.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. And I look forward to welcoming you again. And yeah, for anyone who's interested in reaching out to Justine, if you find her on the internet, you'll find her on Facebook, on Instagram, on her homepage, as she mentioned. And yeah, I'm sure you'll be very much looked after and loved and held and seen. So on that note, I'd like to wish everyone a beautiful day, beautiful evening, depending where you are in the world. And we look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you.